It is Friday, September the 20th, and this is Political Palette. Donald Trump survives a second assassination attempt by a shooter at his golf club in West Palm Beach. Elon Musk might be violating California law by posting deepfakes of Kamala Harris on his platform X. That and more in today's show. The second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, which took place on September the 15th at Trump's golf club in West Palm Beach, Florida, is an event that is both shocking and heartbreaking. As a progressive, it might surprise people to hear me say that, but political violence has no place in any society, regardless of your views on the individual. What is perhaps more disturbing is how little coverage this story received in the mainstream media. We need to take a serious look at this. The details of the incident are chilling. A man armed with an AK-47 rifle, found later with ceramic tiles and a GoPro camera, attempted to breach security near Trump's golf course. The Secret Service responded quickly, firing at the suspect, who was caught trying to flee in a black Nissan. While no shots were confirmed to have been fired by the gunman, the fact that he got so close to Trump is alarming. According to reports, the former president was around 300 to 500 yards away when the incident occurred. Now, one could argue that political violence has, unfortunately, become a part of the American landscape. However, we must resist becoming numb to it. Whether you love or loathe Donald Trump, the idea of a second attempt on his life is something that should shake every American to their core. This event is merely not about Trump as a person. It's about the erosion of democratic norms. Violence is being used as a means to an end, and that should worry every one of us. The lack of media attention surrounding this event is inexcusable. When a former U.S. president survives an assassination attempt, that should dominate headlines. But instead, many major news outlets gave it minimal coverage. Imagine if this had been Barack Obama or Joe Biden. Would the media response have been the same? I think not. There's a troubling trend where the media chooses which stories are worthy of attention based on political leanings. And this is just one more example of that problem. Political violence is not a new phenomenon, but its normalization is new. If we go back to the history of American politics, we've always seen incidents of violence, threats, and assassination attempts. Presidents like Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, and John F. Kennedy paid the ultimate price for their service. Even Ronald Reagan, who survived an assassination attempt, dealt with the trauma and long-lasting effects of such violence. But in recent years, something has changed. It feels as though we've become desensitized to the idea of political leaders being targeted, but we shouldn't be. This isn't about partisanship. It's about basic human decency. No leader, regardless of their political affiliation, should have to live in the fear of their life being taken by someone who disagrees with them. Yet, here we are. Trump has now faced 2 assassination attempts within just a few months, and still the outrage is minimal. We can't ignore the implication of these events. For one, it raises serious questions about Trump's security. And as a former president, Trump has Secret Service protection. But why were these attempts able to get as far as they did? This is not just a failure of the individual agents on the scene, it's a systemic issue. And we need to ask why a man with an assault rifle was able to approach Trump's golf course without being immediately detected. This was the second breach in a matter of months. How many more will it take before we realize that the current measures are simply not enough? The political atmosphere in the U.S. has grown more toxic over the years, and it's not hard to see how that contributes to these acts of violence. The polarization between the left and right has created an environment where people feel justified in taking extreme measures. The danger here isn't just for political leaders themselves, it's for our entire democratic process. When people see violence as a valid form of political expression, we all lose. It's also important to recognize the ripple effect that events like this happen. The more we allow political violence to go unchecked, the more we embolden others who might feel inclined to act out their grievances through violence. Whether it's an attempt on Trump, on members of Congress, or even on protesters, this is a path that leads to chaos. Our leaders, regardless of party, have a responsibility to speak out against this violence. And to their credit, both Joe and Kamala Harris condemned the attack swiftly. But that's not enough. We need to see more than just words. We need to see action. There should be a full-scale investigation into what went wrong, how the gunman got so close, and what can be done to prevent future incidents. The lack of a thorough public investigation is concerning, and it feeds into the narrative that political violence is just part of the game now. And I'll tell you one thing, that's one thing we do not want in American society. In our country, in our political system, we do not need leaders to be assassinated. We need to go to the ballot box and the voting booths and decide who we want to be our leader. Not with an AK-47. That's just not the way. And the media, well, they need to be held accountable. By downplaying this event, they are sending a message that political violence is not newsworthy unless it fits a particular narrative. That's dangerous. And we need responsible journalism that holds all political figures from both sides of the aisle to the same standard. This is not about protecting Trump. It's about protecting democracy. Moreover, the normalization of violence against political figures creates a chilling effect. It discourages people from running for office or participating in a political process out of fear for their safety. This is particularly true for minority groups, who are often the targets of hate and violence. And if we allow this to continue unchecked, we risk of creating a political landscape where only the most extreme voices feel safe enough to participate. And I want to be clear, this is not about liking or disliking Donald Trump. It's about taking a stand against violence, period. The moment we start justifying violence against political figures we disagree with, we've lost something fundamental. The idea that someone would try to take Trump's life because they don't agree with his policies or his rhetoric is abhorrent. We need to be better than that. And the political system in the United States has always been messy. And of course, we've always prided ourselves on being a nation of laws, not violence. Assassination attempts are not just attacks on the individual, they are attacks on the system itself. They are an attempt to bypass the democratic process and impose one's will through force. That's not the America I want to live in, and I think most Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, would agree. So what do we do from here? First, we need to demand more from our leaders. They need to speak out loudly and clearly against this kind of violence, no matter who the target is. Second, we need to demand accountability from our media. They should be covering these stories with the seriousness they deserve, not sweeping them under the rug because they don't fit a particular narrative. And lastly, we need to look at ourselves. Are we doing enough to call out political violence when we see it? Are we contributing to the toxicity in our own political conversations? This second attempt on Trump's life is a wake-up call. We need to pay attention. And we need to act. Because if we don't, the next time we might not be so lucky. And if someone as popular and world-altering as Donald J. Trump, if he were to get assassinated, I could tell you that would pretty much create ripple effects across our entire world. Many people would go out and protest, and who knows, there might even be a civil war. But let's not get too crazy. We need solutions. We need to get to the bottom of this. And that's the goal. We'll be right back after this message from Empower United.
Discover Empower United, a beacon of hope and empowerment for LGBTQ+ youth. We are dedicated to providing the support, advocacy, and resources necessary to uplift and inspire our community. Our mission is to create a world where every LGBTQ+ young person feels valued, accepted, and empowered to reach their full potential. At Empower United, we offer a variety of programs and services designed to address the unique challenges faced by LGBTQ+ youth. We need your help to continue our vital work. By donating as little as $5, you can make a significant impact on the lives of LGBTQ+ youth. Visit empowerunited.org today to learn more about our programs and to make your donation.
The recent repost by Elon Musk of a deepfake video featuring Kamala Harris has stirred significant controversy, particularly given the new deepfake laws in California. Musk, as the owner of X, shared an AI-manipulated video that falsely depicted Harris making disparaging comments, including labeling herself as the ultimate diversity hire and criticizing her own qualifications. The video, which garnered millions of views, falls into the gray area of context regulation that California's newly enacted laws aim to address. California's Assembly Bill 2839, signed by Governor Gavin Newsom, is specifically designed to tackle the spread of AI-generated political disinformation. The law prohibits the creation or dissemination of materially deceptive audio or visual media of candidates, especially within 120 days before an election. Newsom made it clear that this law was made to safeguard the public from misleading information that could distort the democratic process. Musk's reposting of this AI-generated content may now be subject to legal scrutiny under this law. The bill demands that any AI-altered content that clearly indicates that it is fake or satirical. However, the deepfake video Musk shared was only labeled as parody, and the caption of the post, not within the video itself, which is a violation of the law's stipulations. Supporters of the law argued that these regulations are necessary in an age where misinformation can spread like wildfire, potentially influencing voter behavior in dangerous ways. And with the rise of AI, the line between satire and harmful disinformation has become increasingly blurred. Of course, though, critics see this as an infringement on free speech. Some have argued that satire and parody are integral parts of political discourse, and that this law could overreach by regulating content that is meant to entertain or provoke thought, rather than deceive. Musk himself has mocked the law, suggesting it makes parody illegal in California, and many fear that such regulations could stifle creativity and legitimate critique. A lawsuit has already been filed to challenge the new law. The creator of the viral AI video, Musk, reposted, argues that their First Amendment rights are being infringed upon. The lawsuit contends that political parody has long been protected under U.S. law, and that this legislation is an abuse of state power to control speech. The plaintiff points to past political parodies, just as Maya Rudolph's portrayal of Harris on Saturday Night Live, as examples of how political figures are routinely lampooned without legal consequence. California's new law, however, distinguishes between traditional parody, using real people in clear comedic framing, and AI-generated deepfakes that can deceive the viewer. The intention of the law is to not curb political humor, but to prevent harmful misinformation that can mislead voters. Nonetheless, the case could serve as a critical test for how far the state can go in regulating political content in the age of AI. And as we move closer to the 2024 election, the stakes for how we handle AI generated content are higher than ever. The ability of AI to conventionally mimic voices and appearances poses a significant threat to election integrity. While satire has its place, the concern is that without proper labeling, deepfakes could be used to misinform voters and disrupt democratic processes. This is precisely what Newsom's law seeks to prevent. In the coming months, it'll be essential to see how courts rule on this issue and whether other states will follow California's lead in regulating AI content. As AI technology continues to evolve, so too will the legal frameworks that govern its use. Whether this law is upheld or struck down, it's clear that we are entering a new era of digital governance where the boundaries of free speech, technology, and democracy will be continuously tested. And now, from Matty's point of view. So, my first thought is political violence. I want to talk a little bit about the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. And this segment is all about my personal opinion, so take with that what you will. And the second I want to talk about is Elon Musk. Of course, this is a summary of what we talked about on the show and me just giving my opinions at the end. So let's talk about the political violence first. Donald Trump's second assassination attempt, regardless of your political leanings, is absolutely heartbreaking. It might shock some people to hear me say that, but nobody should have to worry about being killed. When did we become a society that cheers for such violence? I know people who actually celebrated the attempt, and let me be clear, I find that absolutely gross. I don't support them, and I won't align with that kind of energy. Political violence is horrid, and to me, it's a symptom of a broader erosion in the way we deal with our disagreements. We've become so divided that some people now view violence as a legitimate means of expressing their political opinions. Let me tell you though, it's not. Political violence in any form undermines the very fabric of democracy. Whether it's an attempt on Trump or anyone else, it's wrong. Period. Now, with Elon Musk, I want to talk about how he reposted that deepfake video. Now, it could be illegal that he posted that, of course, and the law was designed to curb disinformation in political campaigns by making it illegal to post or repost AI-generated deceptive content about candidates. But here's the thing, I don't actually think this law will hold up. My thoughts on the Musk situation are pretty straightforward. I believe that the Supreme Court will strike down this law because it conflicts with free speech rights. The First Amendment has long protected political parody and satire, and while deepfakes certainly take this to a new level, I think the courts will err on the side of protecting speech, even if it's disinformation. But here's where I think we need to evolve as a society. While I believe this specific law won't stand, I do believe that we need a new special constitution dedicated specifically to AI-related speech laws, copyright issues, and digital rights. Why? Because we are rapidly entering a world where it will be nearly impossible to tell what's real anymore. It's not just about deepfakes. AI is becoming so advanced that distinguishing between what's authentic and what's fabricated could soon become a real challenge. Are we living in a simulation? Who knows? But maybe we'll have a debate about that too. But for now, the issue at hand is real enough. We need laws that protect free speech, but we also need laws that have new frameworks that address the unique challenges that AI poses, and we need these laws before AI completely alters how we interact with the world. The bottom line is, whether it's political violence or AI disinformation, we're at a tipping point. Both of these issues highlight the dangers of extremism, whether that's through political violence or digital manipulation. it's time we have a serious conversation about how we address them moving forward. Thank you everybody for joining this show, episode 17 of Political Palette. I really enjoy making the show for you all, so if you would, go ahead, leave a rating, and let me know your thoughts at speakpipe.com/politicalpalette. Upload a voice clip up to 90 seconds, and I might just play it here on the show. You can follow me at Matty Unhinged or Matty.unhinged on Instagram, and go to my website, mattyunhinged.com.